What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be discussing a fragrance that is currently available for a special pre-order price. Currently it's a collaboration between two very good friends of mine, that being Joey Cannoli and George Zaharoff. This is from Zaharoff. This is Signature Royale XXX, and I've got a lot to discuss with you guys about this one, so stay tuned. So before we jump into this, I do have to mention that both of these gentlemen are personal friends of mine. Obviously, as with every single video I put out, take my opinion with a grain of salt. Always try to sample first in the event you're interested in checking out a fragrance. Don't just blind buy something, even with this being a pre-order. You know, no reason to rush unless you just know it's for you and you want to save a little money and get it at the special pre-order pricing of $135. Because when the pre-order is over, it will go up to $160. There will be samples available. There was travel sizes available prior on a test run for this fragrance, which we'll discuss in a moment. So, like I said, take my opinion with a grain of salt. There is natural bias here because they're both friends of mine. And believe it or not, this one's a little bit challenging for me. So let's discuss it, shall we? It's a Joey fragrance. It's only right. Might as well put the Pit Vipers on, right? Any of you that know Joey Cannoli, Pit Vipers, that's his thing. So let's go over the presentation. Let's talk about a little story first. So initially there was a test run because George was a little skeptical about a more challenging, dirty, animalistic, musky type of fragrance. So he released a travel set of all three versions of Signature Royale. So it came with the original Zaharoff Signature Royale. Then you had ROYALE XXX, which is a much more clean, musky citrus fragrance. You can see knocked about half of that down. And then you had ROYALE XXX. Now, this one, those of you that are familiar with my taste know that dirty musk can be a challenging type of thing for me, and this one very much was. I was not a fan of this opening at first, so it was a little bit for me to get used to this one. I went through several just random test sprays. Like I had to get to a point to where I could do full wearings, because kind of like how Dylan Blue was for me, believe it or not, Versace Dylan Blue. I didn't like that one at first. It took me 3, 4, 5 wearings before I started to really jive with it. Now I absolutely love Dylan Blue, and we'll dive into the scent here in just a little bit with XXX, but that's kind of been the case. So when you do receive your fragrance, as per usual with Zaharoff, you get the card. Now the card has expanded quite a bit over time. You have the bottle layout with the original DNA of Signature Pour Homme, and then you have all of the fragrances in the lineup. And yes, I know people are going to point out Coco Loco. Yes, this is the summer release that's coming around the corner at the recording of this, so Coco Loco's on here, but here's XXX's note breakdown right here at the end. Now, one thing I want to note, this was done with an inspiration of the late night live streams with Joey and George's words, Joey's potty mouth. That's why they made a dirty fragrance, I guess you could say. This is not the same as the Zed Creator project. This wasn't the same process. There was no perfumer assigned to Joey and so on. So this is a different type of collaboration with Zaharoff. But with that said, there's nothing short of magic on the packaging. Here you have the Royale and ROYALE X packaging changed to a XXX design with hashtag cancel cannoli on the front. You have a 6 made up of Z's and a 9 made up of Z's. Any of you that watch Joey's live streams, you always drop a 69 in the chat. You actually have his cannoli logo here on the back, as well as a quote written by Joey himself on the back that says, "The final moments before climax, a shivering jolt rushes through your body, that last breath before the big finish, a rush of endorphins from the sweet relief, complete XXX, complete ecstasy." Joey Cannoli. So leave it to Joey. He always has his ways about him, but standard Zaharoff box with kind of that, you know, Joey Cannoli touch to it. You know, it's quite, it's Joey for sure. And then in regards to the bottle, here we go. So you have a matte black cap with the gold Z. Let me get it to focus. That'd be great. There we go. Matte black with the gold Z. You have 3 X's painted on the back, ROYALE XXX. Nothing there. On the side here, you have hashtag cancel cannoli printed on the side of the bottle. And then nothing on the bottom. The glass actually has Zaharoff as part of the mold. And then you know, the gold for Royale with the standard Zaharoff atomizer. I actually have 5 sprays on right now on my skin. So let's get into this scent. So when this one opens up, like I said earlier when I talked about how the opening was a little bit challenging for me. And look, there's a bunch of people that during the testing phase and then when these came out, because George put, you know, several hundred sets of these out and sold out of them in like 2 weeks. It was amazing. He was surprised. That's what made him and Joey decide, you know what, we should put this in full-size bottles, because they blew through this 3-part set, travel set of the versions of Royale, because everybody was falling in love with this, because this is much more of a niche fragrance with the crowd and the style that it's targeting, because it's very animalistic. When it opens up, it is a very dirty, animalistic, kind of primal smell. Man, muskiness, very uber, crazy, ridiculous, masculine type of musky smell. Now, I don't get a lot of the citruses and stuff like that. What I do get after that initial blast starts to calm down, like 1 or 2 minutes in, it doesn't take a long time, I start to get the juniper. The juniper kind of provides a slight gin aromatic freshness to it. Obviously, I'm sure some of the citruses are playing a role, and even the cardamom might be assisting in giving a little bit of this freshness, because the opening blast is kind of all over the place. It's very like in your face, punch you in the nose, rough and rugged, musky, woody type of smell. There's a lot going on. It's kind of a busy opening on my skin, at least to me. It's kind of a busy opening. And like I said, as you give it a minute or two, it starts to settle in this beautiful juniper cardamom combo with that musk. I get the musk from start to finish. Now, it does start to settle into a little bit more of a cedar oud combo. It starts to get very woody. There's a leather accord created from an amalgamation of other notes, because that's how leather accords are created anyways. There's no actual leather oil in perfumery, for those of you that didn't know. It's an accord created of different notes. That's how you get different types of leather smells in fragrances. So with this one, it's a very musky, almost suede, like that musty, buttery suede feel. But like I said, it's more rawhide, leathery type of smell, kind of blending with that kind of dry, almost pencil shaving, slightly barnyardy in some ways, just a little bit oud smell. And the cedar is pretty sharp here. It's got that sharp woodiness to it. A lot of woods here. Warm, musky, woody is the main source of this fragrance. The dry down is fantastic on this. My wife has come around to it greatly. It's been on my skin currently, because it's my scent of the day, for about 2 hours at this point. And it is just magnificent. The dry down is where the real magic is on this one. Like I said, the opening still kind of a little bit for me. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a challenge like it used to be, but I've gotten used to it, I guess you could say. It's one of those fragrances where the opening had to grow on me, but once it starts to settle into the early stages, the heart and the early dry down, it's an easy fragrance to fall in love with. I've gotten more depth to my taste changing towards musks more and more, to where it's kind of only certain vetivers at this point, and even that has become much more minimal. My taste has changed, my palate has changed over time, because certain musks, certain geraniums, certain vetivers, there was always a risk of challenge the way they come across on my skin with my skin chemistry. And this one, the opening was a little wild for me. And there's others that tried it that were like, man, you're crazy. This is magnificent. What are you talking about? Hey, everybody's taste is different. So it has changed for me greatly, greatly. George didn't even know I wanted a bottle. I had to remind him, like, don't forget to send me XXX. He's like, man, I didn't even think you liked it. No, I definitely do. That's why I thought this video would be kind of interesting for a lot of you, because it was the most challenging of any and all Zaharoff fragrances to ever come out for me, just in that opening blast. I mean, we're literally talking the first 30 seconds to maybe a minute, minute and a half. Not long at all. And then when it settles in, it's just magic happens. If you're into these more animalistic, musky, woody type scent profiles, this is very unique. I don't have anything else that smells like this. This is an experience. So if you're looking for something that's much more niche and niche crowd oriented from Zaharoff, well, that fragrance is available now. It's called Royale Signature Royale XXX. Now, when it comes to performance, this is going to make a lot of people happy. It's a 27% pure parfum. It goes and goes and goes and goes. Now, I will say, as it dries down more and more and more, it becomes more and more relatable to the original Royale, because this is the base DNA. The woodiness of the original comes through more and more, where you have the resin, kind of that oriental feel, of the base DNA comes out more and more and more as you get deeper and deeper and deeper into that dry down, because it takes a long time for this to become a skin scent. This is 12 plus hours in longevity. Now, with that caveat, it wears a little bit heavier. It is not a big room filler in projection. It is a stronger sillage than it is projection. It's kind of what and what. It kind of is a balancing act where you get this beyond arm's reach 2 hour or so range projection, and your consistency isn't much of a trade-off when it gets into the sillage that you're going to get for hours and hours and hours on end to the life of this particular fragrance. So if you're looking for the kind of fragrance that will make an impact and leave an impression long after you have walked away, this has that type of density to the aroma for a very strong lingering sillage. I would put the projection into slightly above average in the first 2 hours, and then the sillage is in the moderate to heavy range, where you're gonna get pretty strong whiffs of this all throughout your wearing experience. When you turn your head, move certain ways, and so on, you as the wearer are gonna have a great experience with smelling yourself, let alone others. Final thoughts on Signature Royale XXX. I think it's great if you're into the dirty musks. For me, this is quite the dirty animalistic musk, because it's normally not my style. Like I said, I have come down to where I like this style fragrance more and more, and this one was quite unique. Still, it's very unique in my collection. Like I said, I don't have anything that smells like this. And as you guys know, I don't do the ratings when it comes to the Zaharoff fragrances, because they're not going to be bad ratings. It's not a bias thing. They're just nobody, the trolls don't believe me, even though I tell you guys, hey, they're my friends. There's natural bias here, but I would say if you're not comfortable with pre-ordering this to save a little money, I would say whenever it comes out as a full-on release and it's just as you purchase, bottles are getting shipped, there's going to be samples available. There's probably still going to be travel atomizers like this available. And there's going to be people decanting. So there's going to be ways to try before you buy, because for me personally, this one's a little bit of a challenge. And it may be the same for you. Maybe some of you are licking your chops like, ooh, that sounds great. That's right up my alley. I know a lot of people that was the case, and they thought I was crazy that, this was challenging for me. Others think it's not challenging at all because it's their style. If it's your style, there's no challenge there for you, right? So definitely get your nose on this one if you're into the more animalistic musk. That's probably the best advice I can give you. Well, that was my thoughts and feelings on Zaharoff Signature Royale XXX, the collaboration between two good friends of mine, Joey Cannoli and George Zaharoff. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. How many of you tried the travel atomizer? How many of you have already smelled this? Got your pre-order in already? You're excited to get your bottle, because we're right around the corner from those bottles being released to all of you guys, I believe, like this week at the recording of this. I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm trying to remember what the timeline was last time I talked to George about it, but definitely much better than it was for me in the beginning. This is one that I can just enjoy now. Like I said, I have 5 sprays on right now, and it's quite lovely. As you let this one develop on skin, it's an experience for sure. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on Signature Royale XXX and give it a spray now, there's a chance you might thank me later. Have a good one, guys.